Like 2019 Tiger Woods in the Masters, we are back. Welcome in everyone to the first intermission report show right here on Big Ten Plus. Michigan State leads Notre Dame 2-1. I'm Jacob Maurer alongside Bryan Rector. And Bryan, this was a period that started slow between these two teams, but then we got a goal frenzy like we saw yesterday in the first period. The exact same score, and this one should be pretty fun.
No, it will certainly be that. We, as you say, did not see the output, but there was a surprise in goal for Notre Dame. Michigan State found a way to get traffic in front. That's how they're able to score twice. And 2-1 is where we sit for now, but man, it came alive, you felt, towards the end of that period.
And we'll take a look at those first period stats between these two teams. Michigan State dominating in the shots clock, and that's what you need to do if you're the Spartans, especially with a new goaltender in net for the Fighting Irish. They attacked him early.
That's right. It was Kemp today after we saw both Williams and Say for the entirety of the game yesterday. I wasn't sure, Jacob, to be honest with you, what that move was about, but he's been good. He's been very good. And for Michigan State, you would have liked to have seen a little bit more of an intensity on the power play compared to what we saw yesterday, which was them attacking. But as you look at it, 13 shots to 7, that's similarly to the breakdown we saw in periods 2 and 3 yesterday between these two teams, Michigan State leading that. So overall, not surprising. I would have liked to see more intensity on the power play twice from Michigan State.
Yeah, and the Spartans with 8 shots in the first 10 minutes, just knocking on the door from Kemp, and then finally able to make him pay, and the Fighting Irish. Notre Dame responding late in that first period, but then Matt Basgall again for the Spartans, able to take Michigan State to a 2-1 lead here through 20. And you mentioned the power plays. Michigan State, they've struggled early on this season on the power play. Yesterday was a little bit of a different story. The Spartans converting twice on the power play, but here early on, 0 for 2.
Yeah, Notre Dame doing a really good job to conceal the inside, making it very tough for Michigan State to gain entry into that slotted area between the hash marks. And, you know, from where I sit, Michigan State has to work the corners, get in deep, like we were talking on the opposing side. In Notre Dame's favor, working behind Trey Augustine, Michigan State now, I feel, has to make sure that they're in behind Kemp, continuing to bring it from all angles.
Yeah, and we'll see what the Spartans can do here in the second period, as well as the Fighting Irish. Well, with us now is the third member of our team for this intermission show, Brad LaPlante. And Brad, you're live there from an ice arena. How's the atmosphere there for game number 2?
Jacob, as always, the atmosphere at Munn is incredible. I mean, it is so lively today, I mean, as it was last night. There's a few empty seats because men's basketball was going on. Men's basketball, you know, got the win against Bowling Green. But other than that, I mean, everybody's really excited to be here. And Michigan State has the lead 2-1 right now, so I think that they have something to smile about.
Hey Brad, you got B-Rec here. Quick question for you. Is Notre Dame responsible for 10 blocks in that initial period? What is your sense on the momentum? How has it swung back and forth between the two clubs?
I mean, Michigan State let in that goal, but that was really Notre Dame getting a lot of sustained pressure, and I think that they did a great job in getting that, and Michigan State, I wouldn't say necessarily did anything wrong, but, you know, Notre Dame just did a great job of getting that pressure in the offensive zone. But Michigan State has also been, they're just a really hard team to play. And as you can see, you know, Michigan State, when they gave that goal up, they answered right back. So Michigan State has the momentum right now. I think Notre Dame for a second was like, yeah, we can play with this team. But Michigan State really needs, Notre Dame needs to do something to take that momentum away from Michigan State and really be the enforcer in this game.
And Brad, I want to talk about the two goaltenders for a second. Nicholas Kemp, as you mentioned, in your open, getting the start here tonight, but facing a flurry of shots from the Spartans early. And also mention how Trey Augustine is doing, letting in 3 goals yesterday for Michigan State. Not what we're used to from the sophomore for the Spartans, allowing 1 here late in that first period, but still staying strong for Michigan State. And we'll see what your thoughts are on these two goaltenders.
Yeah, Kemp has done great. I think that it's interesting. It's his 4th game, so we don't really know what Kemp is at the college level yet. He did play with the NTDP. He was a year behind Trey Augustine, as I mentioned. So while Trey Augustine was leading Michigan State to those gold and silver medals at those Five Nation tournaments and those international tournaments, Kemp was kind of the backup. He would play against the lesser nations, some of those nations that Augustine, maybe he'd get a break, and Augustine would play against the high pressure guys like Slovakia or Sweden, the really good teams. So Kemp and Augustine know each other, and I bet that they really want to get kind of something at each other today.
Well, that's interesting history for sure, Brad, and thank you so much for joining us here on the first intermission report, and good luck there for the rest of the game.
Thanks, guys.
And Bryan, now I want to get into what we can expect for both these teams during the second period. We'll start first with Notre Dame. We talked about the keys to the game for the Fighting Irish earlier. How are they doing for those keys so far?
So far, it's been okay. I think, you see 2 power plays and you see 2 penalties that have led to those power plays. If you can clean that up and play penalty-free for the next period incoming, I think you have a better chance to tie this one at 2. But with that being said, I like the fact that they were able to let go of the body, 10 blocks. That was a big key coming into this one. Could they return after having 17 of those a day ago? And they have.
And what about the Spartans? They have a 2-1 lead here through 20. You have to like how the Spartans are playing and responding back. And the thing we know about this Michigan State team is they only get better throughout the periods. How are they doing so in your eyes, as you said, through the pregame and now after watching the first 20?
I want to harken back to actually what you said, Jacob, is speaking about Michigan State's depth. We saw Basgall get on the board for the first time in what was an absolute snipe of a shot from the left hash there. If he and others who are struggling to get things going on the offensive end of the arena, if they can keep it going and continue to put pressure on, then it's going to be a no-brainer. Michigan State has this one in control. As long as they stay in front of the shot total and as long as they introduce more athletes into that offensive depth, they'll be just fine.
And what do you think head coach Jeff Jackson is telling his Fighting Irish team right now? They just came back late in that first period to tie the game, but then the Spartans just stealing it right at the end there. How do you motivate your team to get ready for another 20 minutes of play?
I think it's taking a page out of Adam Nightingale's book, which is to play smart, fast, and hard, right? Is like Notre Dame, we've seen one element of their defensive front. They will give up the body, but can they beat Michigan State to loose pucks now? Can they win the battles in the corners? And can they start to gain odd man rushes against Trey Augustine? That's what I would be absolutely pointing out is let's beat this team into the corner. Let's move fast in front of them and see if we can get through the back line of defense for Michigan State.
And what about head coach Adam Nightingale? We know during these intermission reports that he really gets on his team, and that's when you see the benefactor of the Spartans able to perform well in the second and third periods. The Spartans only get more dangerous as the game goes on. We saw that yesterday. It was a 3-3 tie there in the second, and then the Spartans went with 5 unanswered goals to close it out. What do you think Nightingale is telling his team right now?
It's interesting. Michigan State had 8 shots yesterday in the first period, 13 today. Just keep doing the same thing.
And we'll see what they have next here in the second period. Notre Dame and Michigan State. The Spartans lead 2-1 through 20. But we have another period of play next right here on